Speaker. My question is for the Minister for Water. Our community was shocked last week when we heard the news that the New South Wales Government had lifted its ban on floodplain harvesting just as the first decent rains in years over the Northern Basin began to bring life back to the rivers. While we are all acutely aware of the mismanagement of water in New South Wales and Canberra for the benefit of powerful private interests in the Northern Basin, this latest decision of the New South Wales Government seems beyond comprehension. This is an absolute slap in the face to irrigators in my electorate, an overwhelming majority of whom do the right thing. In the handful of cases where they don't, they are pursued and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So my question is, when irrigators complain to me about corruption and mismanagement in New South Wales, what can I tell them to give them confidence that Victoria is fighting for them and that their efforts to improve compliance, metering and efficiency are not a complete waste of their time?
Minister for Water.
Can I thank the member for Mildura for her question, a really important question and a really important issue, and I know that should have both the irrigators and in the environment groups concerned about the actions of the Queensland and New South Wales Government in relation to this. I was also shocked as well, and I thought we'd made some progress with New South Wales putting an embargo on floodplain harvesting, although they've still got a bit of work to do there, and they themselves had criticised Queensland for doing it. I have expressed at a number of occasions at the Ministerial Council that we needed a really strong focus on the Northern Basin, particularly after what we were seeing in the Darling River. I'm really disturbed following that they continue to make these decisions, and there's no question it is a slap in the face to both Victorian irrigators but also to some of the southern New South Wales irrigators as well. I think it was Chris Brooks, and Chris and I agree on some things and not on everything, but who came out and said that this was it was robbing downstream communities, and that's exactly what it's doing. So the first decent set of rain we get, which may have actually rehydrated a bit of the Bow and Darling rivers, and we all saw the fish deaths, may have started to contribute to that, to wetten it, even if it wasn't going to fill it, but actually enable future rains to start to fill those rivers, was just stolen. And it's incredibly disappointing to see that. So I've written to the Federal Minister, the new Minister. I haven't yet met him, but I have written to him to outline Victoria's concerns about this, and have asked him to ask the Inspector General to look at what has occurred here. In my view, it's as a minimum, it's a breach of faith. I also probably think it's a breach of rules, and I want the Inspector General to have a look at this, and I want the Inspector General to also then provide advice about what we need to do to ensure there is consistency of approach across all our communities in relation to compliance and who has access to water. So I will continue to pursue that. That was just after that decision I wrote to the Minister. I haven't yet got a response, but I'm hopeful to get one soon. We do need to take action, and we need to take action, whatever we need to do. If I need to look at legal options, I will as well, but this is absolutely been a slap in the face to communities. It's a bad decision for irrigators, and it's a bad decision for the environment as well.
For Mildura on a supplementary.
Thank you. My supplementary question is also to the Minister for Water. By design, the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and the legislation that sits behind it were based on agreement from all basin states that the basin requires a certain amount of water to survive, and that all states need to work together for the health of our rivers. We are now facing a scenario where other states who are party to the plan and agreement are actively undermining it to the detriment of Victorians. If representations that you have made to New South Wales and the Commonwealth Government are completely ignored, what is your plan B?
Minister for Water.
Thanks again for the supplementary. So firstly, just to give the House and communities a sense of what this also means for Victoria. If you think about our entitlement to half the water in the Menindee Lake system, again, this rainfall wouldn't have necessarily filled those lakes, but it would have wetted the beds and had an opportunity in the next rainfall to see that. And we're so we actually have, there's a real consequence for this, from this decision, and a real impact on Victoria. And I think that it is a really good question. That's why I do want, have given some powers to the Inspector General. That's why I want him to do it, because we've all signed up to the Inspector General having some powers and ability to enforce some of these things. As I said, I will look at all options, whether that's legal as well. If that doesn't, we've done our hard yards. Victoria continues to do the hard yards here, and we need a fair outcome, and I'll do what I can to make sure we get that.